Hello, everybody. So my name is Elena. I'm Italian, but I live in the UK now. I'm recording this video because I think you should be more of a rebel. And when I say rebel, I do not mean you should go out there and start smashing things or being disrespectful or do something illegal. I don't think I look like a rebel, by the way. Being a rebel doesn't mean that you're covered in tattoos or you've got piercings or anything like that. It might mean that too, but to me, personally, it means that you think with your own head, with your own mind, and that is not something that we do a lot in today's world anymore, you know? We tend to follow, obviously, this doesn't apply to everybody, but usually, I'm including myself, we tend to follow the majority, okay? We follow the herd, and I think that is not something great, right? Most of the time, it would be better for ourselves, for our mental sanity as well, to just follow our heart. So what I mean is, you should always question the status quo, okay? Do not take anything for granted. Do not do something just because everybody's doing it. Always think for yourself and speak up if you think there's something wrong, because a lot of people today are afraid of doing so because they're afraid of losing something. And I'm not saying that there won't be consequences to what you do and what you say and how you say it. I'm not saying just be disrespectful, do not consider the authority. I'm not saying so. I'm saying just question things. If you feel in your gut that something is wrong, or if you don't agree with something, just speak up, say it. Do not stay there and suffer because of it. And when I say this, I'm also talking about, personal life, but also your job. Like in my case, what happened to me is I was in this full-time job as a translator, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it not only because of the actual role that I was covering and because the job was quite, tedious and monotonous and dull, but also because I didn't like the company culture. I didn't agree with it. I felt like their values weren't my values, and I said so. I showed that I didn't like what they were preaching. And I think this takes courage, because not everybody is willing to expose themselves like that. And I'm not saying you should do it. You should expose yourself and put yourself in an unpleasant situation. I'm not saying that you can always change things, but if you think that the consequences will be bearable, please do it. Please do not stay silent, do not accept something, or do not believe to anything, just because people say so, just because the boss said so, okay? Just, question the status quo. The fact that something has been done, the way it has been done, or, for years, or the fact that we have certain beliefs, it doesn't mean that it should stay the same forever. So yeah, the message I wanted to give you today, it's basically this: think for your own, fight your own battles. I'm not saying it's easy, but yes, just question the status quo. Do not settle for something that doesn't make you happy. That is another thing that I wanted to say. So I think settling for something because it's comfortable, because it's convenient, I can understand that. And I did it myself, but then I was so miserable that I couldn't take it anymore, and I had to leave. And that made me so happy. Like, again, when I eventually left the job I had in that company, and I started working as a freelancer. I'm not saying it's all let's say bed of roses. I still struggle sometimes, but I feel much more fulfilled and happy now that I left the job I was in. And I'm not saying I'm not afraid or scared of anything. I don't want to look like or sound like, oh my God, I am great, because I always fight my own battles. What I'm trying to do here, just encouraging, if I can, based on my personal experience, to speak up and question, be opinionated, meaning safeguard your opinions. I think this is very important. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a doubt, absolutely, but do not let others tell you that your opinions do not have value, okay? So again, in my personal experience, I've always found myself to be a bit not an outsider, but yeah, in certain ways I am a little bit an outsider, meaning that I do not like to accept something just because someone said so, and I do not like to settle for something that doesn't make me satisfied or happy. So, for example, another episode was when I had to choose my career path at the university. I opted for languages after 2 years because I first tried to study medicine, that didn't work out, and then law. Law was really a choice that I did not following my heart, but just following the fact that people would say that it was the most convenient choice. But that didn't work out for me because eventually I realized I was so unhappy. Always think for yourself. Be a rebel, guys.